And by the way, if you want to be the kind of person who takes responsibility for your struggles this year and confront the patterns that could be sabotaging your relationships, there is a process that you can do with me, which I've personally put together using my 17 years of experience in this subject. A lot of you watch these videos and you really enjoy and benefit from my content, but you're missing the very best of what I do, my 2-day retreat. This retreat isn't just another workshop where you'll get generic advice that you could find anywhere. This is a deeply transformative experience that I've crafted based on the specific challenges I've seen thousands of clients struggle with over nearly 2 decades of coaching. This retreat is designed for you if you struggle with a critical inner voice that constantly tells you you're not good enough, that you don't deserve love, that you'll never find the relationship you want. It's for you if you've noticed self-sabotaging patterns that keep showing up in your relationships. Maybe you always seem to pick unavailable people, or you find yourself pushing away the ones who actually show up for you, or you lose yourself entirely when you fall for someone. It's for you if controlling your emotions on a daily basis feels like an impossible task, if you find yourself overreacting to small triggers, if anxiety rules your dating life, if rejection sends you into a spiral that takes weeks to recover from. Or maybe your relationship with yourself is, well, complicated. Maybe you're your own harshest critic. Maybe you hold yourself to impossible standards that no human could ever meet. Maybe you've internalized messages about your worthiness that make it hard for you to believe anyone could truly love all of you. I have suffered from all of the above in my life. I have been the person who couldn't control my emotional reactions, who self-sabotaged promising relationships, who was governed by a critical inner voice that never let me feel good enough. And it became my life's mission to create a set of tools that help me manage my emotions and my mental health and build a way more healthy and loving relationship with myself so that in turn I could attract the kind of love and relationship that I wanted. The tools I'll share with you at this retreat aren't theoretical concepts I read in a book somewhere. They're practical strategies that I've personally used to transform my own relationship with myself and, as a result, my relationships with others. They're techniques that have been refined through work with thousands of clients, seeing what actually creates real, lasting change versus what just sounds good in the moment but doesn't hold up in real life. And I am not perfect, but I can honestly say I have never been happier than I am today. I still have my moments, my challenges, my stuff, but I now have a toolkit that helps me navigate them in ways that don't derail my happiness or my relationships. This work has made it possible for me to find the love of my life, someone who sees all of me, the good, the bad, the messy, and chooses me anyway. And my life has never felt more under control, not because I never face difficulties, but because I know how to move through them in ways that serve me rather than sabotage me. The retreat is happening on October the 18th and 19th, and until the end of this month, we have significantly discounted early bird tickets. After that, the prices go up. So now is your chance to grab them at the best price that there will be all year. The link to get them is in the description below. I can't wait to see you there, where I'll be using for the rest of your life. We need to find someone who is the kind of person who gets our stuff, or doesn't think that our stuff is reason to break up with us, and even perhaps through their special way of loving us, calms down our stuff in a way no one has before. Someone who doesn't just tolerate our quirks and challenges, but understands them, who can see the scared child behind our defense mechanisms, who recognizes that our difficult traits often come from the same source as our most beautiful qualities. Consider the person who seems overly emotional or sensitive. In one relationship, this might be seen as exhausting or dramatic, but the right person recognizes that this sensitivity is also what makes them deeply empathetic, what allows them to connect profoundly with others, what fuels their creativity or compassion. They see that asking this person to be less sensitive would be asking them to be less themselves. Or think about someone who needs a lot of alone time, who sometimes seems distant or detached. Some partners might find this threatening or take it personally, but the right person understands that this solitude is what allows them to recharge, what enables their deep thinking, what makes possible their unique perspective on the world. They don't try to change this quality, they work with it, respecting the need for space while finding ways to maintain connection. It's funny how we think that we get to decide who is right for us based on enough of our checklist having been ticked by a particular attractive individual. We create these mental lists. They should be this tall, have this kind of job, enjoy these hobbies, want the same number of kids, have this political view, practice this religion, like this kind of food. And we think that if we find someone who checks enough of these boxes, they'll be right for us. And of course, when this happens, when we think we found that person, it immediately puts us in a place of thinking that they are perfect, which leads to all sorts of troublesome behavior and emotions on our part. We might become anxious about losing them, start compromising our own needs or values to keep them interested, ignore red flags because we're so invested in the idea that they're the one. We put them on a pedestal, and in doing so, we create a power imbalance in the relationship from the very beginning, one that often leads to disappointment when they inevitably fail to live up to our idealized image of them. In truth, the person who is perfect for us is far from perfect. They have their own insecurities, their own triggers, their own patterns that sometimes make them difficult to be with. But what makes them right for us is not the absence of these human qualities. It's the way their particular brand of imperfection complements our own. They are the person who sees the whole package that is us and chooses it, both accepting our flaws while also seeing just how special we are. They don't love us despite our struggles. They understand that those struggles are woven into the fabric of who we are, inseparable from the qualities they adore. And when we meet someone like this, we'll feel more secure about ourselves when we leave their side, not less. We won't be constantly worried about whether we're too much or not enough. We won't feel like we're walking on eggshells, afraid that if we show certain parts of ourselves, they'll decide we're not worth the trouble. And this is because they won't have spent all their time impressing us with their shining qualities. They will have also taken time to have seen ours. They'll be as interested in understanding us as they are in being understood. They'll ask questions that show they're paying attention, not just to what we say, but to how we feel, what matters to us, what makes us come alive, and what shuts us down. We will feel seen and accepted by them in a way that's difficult to describe, but unmistakable when we experience it. And we have no idea what kind of person this will end up being or what they will look like, which is what makes a farce of our preconceived idea of who our type is and who we will spend our lives with. The person who ends up being right for you might look nothing like the image you've had in your mind all these years. They might work in a field you never considered attractive. They might be older or younger than you expected, taller or shorter, more outgoing or more introverted. And the idea of what we think we're looking for ends up being my old. They might challenge your ideas about what love should look like because the love they offer feels different from what you've experienced before. Steadier, calmer, more honest, less dramatic. You might even miss it at first because you're so conditioned to look for love that feels like a roller coaster, like the movies, like something that sweeps you off your feet rather than something that plants you firmly on solid ground. In reality, it's not just that love happens when we least suspect it. It's often that love shows up in a form we least expect it. The package it comes in might surprise you, the timing might seem inconvenient, the circumstances might be complicated, but when the right person shows up, there will be something about the way they see you, the way they treat you, the way they respond to your specific needs that will feel like coming home to a place you didn't even know you were looking for. We just don't know who that person is going to be. They might be totally unexpected and they might not be your type, but you have to pay attention to when you find it, because when you do, it will really work. It won't be perfect. No relationship is, but it will work in a fundamental way that your previous relationships didn't. The conflicts will be different. The way you navigate challenges together will be different. The feeling you have, even during difficult times, will be different. There will be a sense of being on the same team, of facing life's ups and downs together rather than seeing each other as the source of problems. Part of accepting this reality and making peace with the people we have strong feelings for, but wind up parting ways with, is understanding that relationships are not built on feelings alone. Intense attraction, that butterflies in the stomach feeling, the rush of dopamine and serotonin in the early stages, these are powerful, but they're not enough to sustain a relationship through the inevitable challenges that arise when two humans try to build a life together. Relationships are built on compatibility and finding someone whose complicated parts fit with our complicated parts. That is the essence of compatibility. It's not about finding someone who never triggers your insecurities or never annoys you or never has bad days. It's about finding someone whose way of being human aligns with your way of being human, so that when difficulties arise, as they always will, you can move through them together rather than being torn apart by them. It's like puzzle pieces. Two pieces might both be beautifully made, intricately designed, valuable in their own right, but if their shapes don't fit together, they simply won't connect, no matter how much you might want them to. And forcing pieces together that aren't designed to connect only damages them both. Our job is to recognize this feeling when we feel it. It's a feeling of coming home. And it is a homecoming that is born out of meeting one of our most fundamental needs, the need to be seen, accepted, and loved just as we are. Not as we pretend to be, not as we aspire to become someday, but as we are right now in this moment with all our histories and hopes and fears and dreams. Think about the relationships in your life where you feel most yourself. The people with whom you can relax, let down your guard, be silly or serious or sad without fear of judgment. Those are the relationships where you feel at home, where you don't have to perform or pretend. That feeling is what we're looking for in a romantic partner, someone who creates a space where we can be authentically ourselves and know that we are loved not in spite of who we are, but because of who we are. Mr. Rogers once said, when we love a person, we accept him or her exactly as is. The lovely with the unlovely, the strong with the fearful, the true mixed in with the facade. This is what real love looks like. It's not blind to flaws or weaknesses. It sees them clearly, but holds them gently, with compassion rather than judgment, understanding rather than resentment. And of course, the only way we can do it is by accepting ourselves that way. This is perhaps the most challenging part of the journey for many of us. We're often our own harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards, focusing on our flaws while dismissing our strengths, speaking to ourselves in ways we would never speak to someone we love. But how can we expect someone else to love all of us if we haven't learned to love all of ourselves? How can we recognize acceptance when we find it if we've never experienced it within our own hearts? This doesn't mean we have to be perfect at self-love before we can be in a relationship, far from it. But it does mean that the journey toward accepting ourselves with all our messy, complicated, beautiful humanity is also the journey toward being able to receive the kind of love we long for. And this isn't just the kind of love you deserve, it's the kind of love you need to be happy. The kind that doesn't require you to hide parts of yourself or pretend to be someone you're not. The kind that creates space for you to grow and change without fear that you'll outgrow the relationship itself. The kind that sees your wounds not as defects, but as evidence of your resilience, your capacity to heal, your deep humanity. And while finding that kind of love is never promised, there are no guarantees in matters of the heart. It is absolutely possible for everyone. 2 decades of experience has shown me that you just have to do the right things. And that starts, as Mr. Rogers said, by giving ourselves this kind of love that we one day hope to receive from another person. And if you don't know how to give yourself this kind of love, come join me in October and I will show you in those 2 days on the retreat. Because here's the truth about finding the right person for you. They're not going to be the one who checks all the superficial boxes on your list. They're going to be the one who sees your most vulnerable parts, the parts that other people have rejected, and says, I see you and I choose you anyway. It's about finding someone who doesn't just tolerate you on your bad days, but understands where those bad days come from. Someone who knows how to be with you through storms of emotion or periods of withdrawal without making it about them, without resenting you for being human. Someone who recognizes that the things that sometimes make you difficult to love are often connected to the things that make you incredible. Your sensitivity, your passion, your intensity, your depth. Think about the people who have walked away from you in the past. Were they rejecting you, or were they simply acknowledging that they weren't equipped to handle the specific ways in which you move through the world? Were they saying you're unlovable, or were they saying I'm not the right person to love you the way you need to be loved? There's a profound difference between those two things, and understanding that difference can transform how you see past relationships and approach future ones. The right person for you isn't going to be intimidated by your ambition or put off by your occasional need for reassurance. They're not going to resent your sensitivity or be exhausted by your enthusiasm. They're going to see these qualities as integral parts of what makes you who you are, parts that they appreciate even when they're challenging, parts that they wouldn't change even if they could. When you find the right person, there's going to be this moment, you might miss it if you're not paying attention, where they respond to one of your quirks, one of those things that has made other people walk away, with understanding instead of judgment. It might be the way they respond when